Hello, I am Dr. Sheryl Randolph, and welcome to the Live Anyway Zone. I know many of you may say again, why do you call it that? Well, because this is a place where we take time to explore and examine life. Because all of us want to succeed, but we have to figure out how to get there. And sometimes life happens to you. Different situations come in your life, and you have to make a very critical decision. You have to choose to live anyway. So hopefully this will be a place that helps you identify what you need in order to get where you're going. So if you're joining me for the first time, thank you so much. And if you're returning, thank you. And of course, if you have not subscribed, please do so that you can stay abreast of all of the things that's going on. Well, today I want to talk to you about a very challenging subject. At least it was for me. But it was one of the most rewarding things I ever learned to do in order to move forward in life. It is simply letting go. I know, few words, but a hard thing to do. You know, I love the author, Dr. Henry Cloud, and he's written a wonderful book, Necessary Endings, because in that book he says that endings are natural and endings are necessary in order for you to move to the next place in life. You know, if you're like me, you probably get excited about your future and the possibilities, and you think about going to the next level and the next thing that's in your life. But what we don't always do is give the proper attention to the things that we need to release so you can put something else in your hand. You know, we master, at least I did, trying to hold on to one or two things and then trying to reach for something else. But if you're ever going to get to the next big thing or get to that next great relationship, there are some things, some people, some practices that you will have to learn to let go of. Because, you know, I love one of my favorite scriptures. It's in Isaiah, the 43rd chapter and 19. It says, behold, I'll do a new thing in you. And it's funny how we try to take the new thing and still hold on to the old. But he said, I'll do a new thing in you. It'll spring forth in you. But what does that say? New cannot mix with the old. And what I discovered for me, that there was some habits, there were some people, there were some situations that even though I knew they were not good for me, they were familiar, and so I held on. I started trying to justify or even trying to juggle, but I realized I didn't have the capacity to hold what was not healthy for me and try to take in what was healthy for me at the same time. You know, many things that we're not experiencing, it really has nothing to do with the things or the people. It has everything to do with us. Are we willing to let it go? Are we willing to release what we know, what's familiar, what we're trying to hold on to thinking it will change? Because that's another situation. Sometimes we know a thing is not going to change. We know that person is not going to change. But we tell ourselves, oh, it'll change. Just give it time. And while we're giving that thing, that person, time to change, and they are not changing, we're wasting time. We're losing out on opportunities that could really, really enhance our lives. So today I'm challenging you to take a true inventory of your life, to really look at where you are and look at all of the players in your life, to look at all of the habits, to look at all of the practices and determine, is this good for me? Is this taking me to my next place? Does this have destiny attached to it? Remember, Dr. Cloud said, endings are necessary, but you have to determine what to end. Do I let this friendship go? Do I let that activity go? I'm telling you, I confess, it was hard for me. I spent years holding on to things and people and practices that were just not beneficial for me. I even dealt with some fears like, if I let it go, how am I going to make it? If I let it go, am I going to be okay? But can I tell you, the best thing I learned is that when you learn to let things go that are not in your best interest, you live a better life. You become a better person. You become a better friend. Things just are better all the way around. Now I caution you, letting go is hard. It can be very difficult. It can cause you pain and it can cause others pain. You know, sometimes when you release people, they don't really understand. when you release things that you've been used to doing, it's hard for you to see beyond. But, you know, I love one of the Bibles, or one of the chapters in the books of the Bible. It's Ecclesiastes, and it talks a lot about seasons changing. And we know that. We know that winter is different from fall and summer is different from spring. So seasons change. We welcome those, because if you're like me, you don't really like the cold weather. I am happy when spring comes. Can I tell you, your life is the same way? You may not like what you're in, but if you would just be willing to let some things go and understand that even in the complexity of walking into something new, that seasons change. Ecclesiastes said that there's a time to be born, there's a time to die. There's a time to begin, and there's a time to end. Could it be that things are the way they are because you are the way that you are? Because you're still trying to hold on to things that need to be released, that need to no longer be a part of your life. Again, I go back to what I said. Sometimes we stay because it's comfortable, it's familiar. But what if, just what if, the best thing ever is waiting on you, but it's occupied by the space of what needs to be let go of? You know, there's a new level waiting on you. There's a new tomorrow. And there's another thing that Dr. Cloud says, that he says your today can be the enemy to your tomorrow. If you haven't learned the things that you need to let go of today, it can be the enemy to your tomorrow, because that space can be filled twice. Something has to move in order for something to come. I'm not telling you something that I have not experienced. And I even look at the people that I had to release, the things that I had to release, the practices that I had to release. When I look at that, and I even ask myself sometimes, would you do it all over again? Yes, I would do it all over again. But again, remember, in releasing and then receiving, there's a period in between that, where you may feel uncertain, where you may feel alone, where you may feel misunderstood, where you may feel, what have I done? But I'm telling you, if you just keep moving, if you just keep going, and sometimes that means that you have to start learning some things. You have to start exposing yourself to some different things. You know, for me, I'm an individual, and I know everybody says she's so bubbly and all of this, but it's kind of hard for me to take new people into my life. And I had to start learning that, you know, you might have to stretch yourself a little and get to meeting some new people. You might have to get some more skills under your belt. You might have to tiptoe into some things that are really not very comfortable. But any space that's emptied needs to be filled. You just make sure you fill it with the right practices, the right habits, and the right people. And when you do that, I'm telling you, you will take yourself to a place that is so rich, that is beyond what you can imagine or you can think. So don't be afraid. Because whatever is in you, it's still going to be in you. Whatever gifts and talents you have, they're still going to be there. Don't let people, habits, practices, and things make you think that you can't function if those things are no longer a part of your life. Yes, you can. As a matter of fact, there's a greater you waiting to come out of you. Oh, I like that. There's a greater you ready to come out of you. But again, you've got to let it go. You have to release. Don't be afraid. Just strengthen your faith and just say to yourself, latter will be greater. More is waiting. I just have to take on the courage to release and let go. Are you worth it? Absolutely you are. So again, it may not always be in the absence of, what should I do? What's going to happen? Just trust what's on the inside of you, and trust who's on the inside of you, and know that things are working for your good. I always love that scripture. I know that things are working for my good. So become acquainted with being uncomfortable. Become acquainted with maybe experiencing times of being by yourself, but know that it's taking you to a better place, that you will get there and you will say, I I wish I had let go of things a long time ago. That's what I said. There were some things, some habits, some practices, some people. I said, I wish I had had the courage to let it go a long time ago. But then I leave that and I come to where I am now. But I did let it go, and I'm at one of the best places of my life. Letting go may be hard, but it's necessary. And when you learn to do that, when you create a habit of learning to let go things that are not good for you, you can get to a place to where you can make a really good decision to outlive all of that stuff and live anyway.